Rebecca.
Hello, Mother House.
Yeah, can you hear us?
Hey, Mother House, I'm here.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can. Can you hear me?
Yes, quite well.
Okay. Am I too loud?
No.
Oh, good.
You're perfect.
Okay.
So I'm going to mute my speaker when I find it.
Okay. One thing, Peg.
Yeah.
Your camera is currently looking at your camera bag. You probably know this, but that's all I see is the zipper of your camera bag. Did I lose you?
They're not seeing that one, they're seeing this one.
I'm not hearing you.
Well, that one's unplugged. This one's not even plugged in.
Are you hearing this?
Oh, I'm hearing you now. Hooray!
They probably don't have the microphone turned on back there.
Yeah, Peg was on, and then she wasn't. So I'm not sure.
Okay.
But yeah, it's the video feed that I was worried about because we had a very nice picture of the zipper of the camera bag, but it's lovely, but not necessarily ideal.
You don't think so?
Hey, I'm going out and coming in again. I'm probably going to restart the whole computer.
Oh, do you not have the right? Okay.
We're not using that camera. We're using the other one.
You should be able to just change your camera. If you go on settings on the Zoom screen,
yeah,
on the black bar on the bottom, it says settings. And if you click settings and click on video.
Yeah, we hit.
And then click camera, and it should give you a drop-down menu, and you can change your camera feed.
No, it's not. It's when I hit the drop down, it's not doing anything.
Oh, okay.
I'm going to go out and.
Okay, go out and try coming back in again.
Yeah.
Okay. Wow, there I got your speakers.
Yeah. There we go.
Yay, Mother House, we've got the right camera feed. This is great.
Yeah, we're good to go.
Sounds good.
Thank you. You want to take this till we switch, and then you take the camera.
Sure, sure.
That's a fair distribution.
Oh, sure. Hey. Where's recording?
We're recording here in Denver, so we'll have it and can post it to the website later.
Great. Is that what it's doing?
Mute our speaker.
Okay.
Not our speaker. Oh, man. Has to go back in to that switch time.
And we have our sharing.
That's what allows us to hear them.
Okay. So we switch it back.
Yeah.
So they could hear us.
Yeah. In fact,
Is this muted or is that supposed to not be?
wait a minute.
Welcome, everyone, to this celebration of Sister Jeannette Marie's life. I would like to welcome especially her niece, Marianne, and husband, Jack, and her nephew, Jeff, and his wife, Amy, and Helen Burns, a longtime friend of Jeannette Marie's. And also a welcome to those out in the hinterlands who are watching this over the web. We will begin with the story of Jeannette Marie's life, so if you'll please be seated.
Sister Jeannette Marie Donnelly was very proud of her origins. She told the archives that she was born on the family ranch at Running Water near Springfield, South Dakota, on or near the ranch that her mother's grandparents settled in the 1850s. Baptized Catherine Jeannette, she was the third of 4 children of James Edward Donnelly and Bertha Emma Moon. Sometime before 1928, the family moved to the southeast, where Catherine Jeannette bounced from one grade school to another in Florida and Alabama. Relatives in New Mexico invited Catherine and her 2 older sisters, Lavon and Ruth, to Las Cruces, New Mexico in 1935, so that the girls could attend Loretto Academy. Catherine graduated from Las Cruces in 1939. Catherine later wrote, "My memories of the Loretto sisters in Las Cruces are only the best. The sisters were understanding and good-humored. I cannot remember a cross word being spoken to me as a child there." Loving the sisters and already loving to help others read, Jeannette requested admission to the novitiate, despite the opposition of her mother. She received the habit and the name Sister Jeannette Marie on December the 8th, 1939. "I presumed when I got to the community that I would be a teacher," Jeannette said in a recent interview. "I liked to teach reading. I consider that missionary work, to teach children how to read and to love reading. When they can read, they can learn anything they want to learn, and teach others to read, and learn to help their own children. That was my mission, I think. It's what I loved the most. It means so much to me when they walk out in May or June and they can really read, when they didn't know anything about reading when they arrived." Jeannette Marie made her first vows December the 8th, 1941, and began teaching in 1942 at St. Philomena's in Denver. Following 9 years at St. Phil's, she taught for 7 years in Alabama at Daphne and Loretto in Montgomery. A single year in Los Angeles was followed by 6 years in Texas at St. Michael's Houston and Mary Star of the Sea, Freeport, where she served the first of many years as teaching principal. 3 of Jeannette's students from Texas visited her at the Mother House in 2013. One of them told her, "I'm an engineer because you got me on the road to understanding math. You taught me after school, and you worked with me on Saturdays." Jeannette's reaction? "That thrilled me, because you never know when you do a little extra how good that's going to be." In 1965, Jeannette's last regular assignment was to St. Vincent's Parish School in Cape Girardeau, where she taught and was principal for 13 years. Before the end of the 1978 school year, she left the end-of-school tasks to her fellow teachers, Sisters Mary Joyce and Charles Maureen, in order to hurry to Palo Alto, California, to care for her dying mother. Jeannette Marie elected to remain in California after her mother's death, taking a teaching position at St. Elizabeth Seton School in the parish where her younger brother Lawrence lived and still lives. Jeannette taught for 16 years at St. Elizabeth and did tutoring and community service in the parish for another 16 years. She was also a lively member of Loretto's Northern California community group. In 2011, Jeannette Marie came home to Loretto Mother House Infirmary, where she was an active community member and continued to tutor in reading until just days before her death. Jeannette Marie said of her 72 years of missionary work, "My memories of myself as a sister of Loretto is of happiness and hard work, trying to do for others while living in the presence of God. I know I could return to any of the places I have taught and be welcomed and loved."
This first reading is from 1 Corinthians, verse 13. Love never fails. If there are prophecies, they will be brought to nothing. If tongues, they will cease. If knowledge, it will be brought to nothing. For we know partially, and we prophesy partially, but when the perfect comes, the partial will pass away. When I was a child, I used to talk as a child, think as a child, reason as a child. When I became an adult, I put childish things aside. At present, we see indistinctly as in a mirror, but then face to face. At present, I know partially. Then I shall know fully as I am fully known. So, faith, hope, love remain, these three. But the greatest of these is love.
Before we go on, I just wanted to add two things. The lovely roses that you see down here are from her class in Houston. They sent 39 for the 39 members of that class. And secondly, the readings that we're using tonight are readings that Jeannette Marie chose herself. Okay.
This reading is the reading, How Great Thou Art. O Lord my God, when I in awesome wonder consider all the worlds thy hands have made, I see the stars, I hear the rolling thunder, thy power throughout the universe displayed. Then sings my soul, my Savior God, to thee, how great thou art, how great thou art. When through the woods and forest glades I wander, and hear the birds sing sweetly in the trees. When I look down from lofty mountain grandeur and see the brook and feel the gentle breeze, then sings my soul, my Savior God, to thee. How great thou art, how great thou art.
Let us pray. God of all mercy, you showed Jeannette the path of life, the fullness of joy in your presence, and happiness in your embrace forever. Give us the wisdom and the strength to practice unshakable reliance upon you and human reliance upon one another. Welcome Jeannette into your presence, into the company of all the Loretto saints who preceded her. We ask this in Jesus' name. Amen. And Jeannette asked that her favorite Irish song be sung, and so we're going to do it. If it's only at the closing of my day, or to see again the moon rise over clouds, and to watch the sun go down on Galway Bay, or to hear again the ripple of the trout stream, the women in the meadow making hay, or to sit beside a turf fire in the cabin and watch the barefoot gossames at their play. Oh, the winds that blow across the sea from Ireland are perfumed by the heather as they blow, and the women in the highlands sing and praise. Speak, I wish that yet the strangers came and tried to teach us their ways, and they plagued us too for being what we are. But they might as well go try and catch a moonbeam, or to light a penny candle from a star. And if there's going to be a life hereafter, and somehow I feel sure there's going to be, I will ask my God to let me make my heaven in that dear land across the Irish Sea. At this time, we'll begin our sharing after we've had a minute or so to arrange the microphone. For those of you who haven't been here before for this, we begin with the Mother House sharing, and then people out in cyberspace out there who would like to share with us join in. Who would like to begin? I'm not close enough. Too close. Okay, here comes.
Hello, everyone. My name is Mary Ann May. I am the only niece of Sister Jeannette. I was the only girl since she was born. And when I heard them reading her biography, I was very shocked that my grandmother was a little disappointed that she joined the convent, because that's not how I remember it. My grandmother was so proud of my Aunt Catherine, that's what I called her, that she became a nun. And my grandmother was very, very disappointed when you ladies quit wearing habits, because she always introduced her, this is my daughter. Well, then when they stopped wearing the habits, my grandmother introduced her as, "This is my daughter, the nun." So my Aunt Catherine said she was going to take a string and wrap it around her neck with a big sign on it saying, "I'm a nun." Another story that I just have a couple of her always saying she was 11 months younger than my mother, and she always told me that my mother was the pretty one. Well, if you will look back at the pictures of them when they went to the Loretto Academy in New Mexico, you can't even tell them apart. They look like twins. And one more story, and I think Helen Burns would appreciate this. Helen's aunt, Sister Margaret, was my Aunt Catherine's dearest, dearest friend, and they used to come and visit us in Michigan every Easter for 3 or 4 years. And they both had quite a lead foot. And being that they didn't wear their habits anymore, they would take their veils and put them on a clothes hanger and hang them in the back window. So if they ever got pulled over by a policeman, she would tell them, "Well, we're nuns."
I'm Sister Kathleen Ty. Not too close. And first of all, Jeannette, from her Irish background, had the wonderful sense of humor. And when we lived with her in California, at any meeting or any Loretto gathering, she always had at least one, if not 2 or 3, wonderful jokes. And they were really funny, and she was delightful. She taught reading to hundreds of thousands, not thousands, I'm exaggerating, but so many students. And we always said she could teach a stick to read. And her last pupil was a darling 6-year-old, and the teacher did not succeed in teaching him, and she sent a book. And the book was the wrong one. I mean, Jeannette said, "This won't do." And I remember going by her bedroom, and she would be sitting in her wheelchair with a big yellow pad, printing out sentences after sentences, pages of these, actually writing the book that the boy needed so he could learn to read. And she was so thrilled, and he was thrilled. And not long after that, this was a couple weeks ago, his grandmother picked him up from school. And he said, "Grandma, can I read to you going home?" And she said, "You surely can." And he read a Dr. Seuss book to her on the way home. So she has been just a wonderful, wonderful teacher and a wonderful woman and a great friend. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Erna, and I'm currently the receptionist here at the Mother House. I want to tell you briefly how our friendship started. She was a dear friend. I was an aide when I first met Sister Jeannette. We came at the same month on the same year. And the first day when I walked into her room, I was on 3rd shift. And I walked into her room, and I turned on the light, and I said, "Good morning, Sister Jeannette." And she opened her eyes. She said, "Who are you?" I said, "I'm sunshine on 2 legs." She went, That was the beginning of a dear, dear friendship. After that, we became closer and closer. It was like we were 2 peas in a pod. We went a lot of places together. And one night I asked her to go to a movie. We went and seen The Odd Life of Timothy Green. And on the way back when we came out, it was dark. And she said, She said, "I haven't been out much at night since I've been here." And she said, "This is different." I said, "Yeah, we're burning the midnight oil." Well, we got into the car, and on the drive home, she sat there and she said, she said, "Do you have stars here?" I said, "Oh, yeah." She said, "I just, haven't been out that much." I said, "Sister Jeannette, you're in for a treat." I said, "Sit back in the seat and lay your head back." And I said, "Just open your eyes." As she was doing that, I pushed the button on the moonroof in my car, which displayed a beautiful, beautiful, clear night sky. And she looked at that sky like she saw it for the very first time. And it just really touched my heart. She was so happy. The smallest things made her happy. And another trip that we took one day, she was always saying, "Someday I want to see where you lived. Someday I want to see where you went to school, where you grew up." And so one day I said, "Tomorrow morning after Mass, I'm going to pick you up and we're going out." She said, "Where are we going?" I said, "You just wait and see." So the day come and I picked her up. We're driving in the car and almost an hour had went by and she was getting kind of yancy. She said, "Where are we going?" I said, "Do you remember that time we talked about someday we're going to do this, someday we're going to do that?" I said, "Today when you woke up, it was someday." And so she was just beside herself. I took and showed her where I went to school, a grade school, where I trick or treat, where I went to high school, where I graduated. And she was so thrilled. We ran out of time. She wanted to come back and tutor that very little boy that they're talking about. So instead of stopping at the Mexican restaurant like we had planned, we ate Long John Silver's on the way home. Thank you.
Jeannette was in our community group, and so we met on Saturday, and she was with us all day, and then she wasn't feeling well at supper, but she was back in the dining room on Sunday, and that spirit of just always moving forward, knowing that she was going to die any day or week, was just such the same spirit that was in the biography and that Kathleen talked about, was just wonderful for so many of us. Does the grandmother want to say anything? This is the grandmother of the little boy, who's part of Loretto.
Well, I really hadn't planned on doing this. And I really thought that Aiden was going to be here. That was Sister Jeanette's last student that she tutored. He's 6 years old. He'll be 7 in June. But I tell you, I was over here this afternoon and I keep hearing these stories about little angelic Aiden. I'm going to have to look deep to see little angelic Aiden. Just last night, he and I had some powerful words. And he called and he apologized to me. "Nanny, I'm sorry I said that." That's okay, Brady. Aiden. He said, "But the words just fell out. They just come so quick. I really didn't mean it." Oh, yeah, I bet you didn't mean it. But anyway, Sister Jeannette has brought that child over mountains. She has taught him 3 times a week, sometimes Saturdays, sometimes Sundays at night. She wanted him 7 days a week. but because my daughter and her husband don't get home till so late, that wasn't possible. But she made me promise that this summer that I would continue having him to read. She said, anything. Get some primary books. She said, if you're reading the paper, let him read to you what words he knows. And what words he doesn't know, have him to sound them out the best that he can. So I've made a promise that I'll do that. And hopefully that little angelic face will come around. So that's my story. I'm the grandmother of the last angelic child that she taught. God help me. Thank you.
My name is Sister Alicia, and there was a group of about 8 of us who took turns taking Jeannette to her chemotherapy treatments. And at the end, with Erna's help, she decided to give us a little pizza party, including wine and all the snacks that we could possibly think of. It was just a wonderful way for her to thank us, but really it was our pleasure to take her. And one of the things she wanted, and when I had her out the last time, she asked me to stop at the store and to get some lifesavers. And I got the wrong kind. But then the day of the party, she had gotten them. I don't know, maybe Erna was the one who was able to locate the little rolls of lifesavers, and she gave us each a roll of lifesavers. Really, she was just so thoughtful, and it was just a pleasure to be with her, and especially going to her chemos.
Just one short thing I'd like to say about your talking about how sweet she was and thoughtful she was. I did not know that she had cancer until about 5 weeks ago. She told me that she had, she says, I was going to tell you before Christmas, but I didn't want to ruin your holidays. And I was going to tell you after the new year began, but I didn't want to upset you. So 5 weeks ago, that's when she told me that she had liver cancer. And I told my husband when I got off the phone, I said, well, that's exactly how my mother died. So I really don't think she has a lot longer to live. But that's what a sweet person she was. She didn't want us to feel bad and worry about her when we had such terrible winter up in Michigan. There was no way we could come down here and see her.
My name is Helen Burns from Rockford, Illinois. I first met Jeannette when she came to my house as a companion for Sister Mary Donnell, who was my aunt. I don't remember the year, but I have spent many, many years communicating with Jeannette. I was down at Cape Girardeau when my aunt Mary Donnell died, and Jeannette was very gracious. And after that, I've kept in touch with her, and she invited me out to California after she had moved out to her family residence, and I spent a week with her in her mobile home. And one of the fondest memories I have is she wanted to go to the beach, and we drove, I don't know what highway it is, but we went to the beach and to the wharfs, and she wanted to show me all the area and stuff. But she loved the water and the ocean. And another trip, we went on the train, which I had never been on before, to San Francisco. And we toured San Francisco and went on the boat and the wharf. And I remember she wasn't able to walk a great deal, but we went to the Golden Gate Bridge because I'd never been out to California before either. And I went out on the Golden Gate and then came back, and Jeannette and I walked around. And that's always been a favorite memory of mine. And then the latest was in October when I was down here, and we went out shopping. And after shopping, I said, well, where are we going to stop for something to eat? And she said, well, let's go to the Mexican restaurant. And I said, well, that's great, but you're going to have to do the ordering because I'm not big on Mexican. And she said, okay. So we went to a new Mexican restaurant in Bardstown, and she ordered, and I ordered, and then after we got through with our meal, she says, well, let's have some dessert. She saw something on the menu that she had memories of from California, and she said, let's order that. And I said, well, you know, we really shouldn't. Both of us are diabetic, so we really shouldn't be having ice cream with chocolate caramel syrup and nuts and things on it. And she said, well, it's special, so let's do it. And I said, well, how about if we get one and split it? Well, when the waiter came, there was a big platter, and I swear there was enough on there for 4 people. And I said, Jeannette, this is way over the hill. And so we enjoyed that. But I have so many wonderful memories of Jeannette, and we talked on the phone constantly, and I'll miss her.
I'm Sandy Arduino. Jeannette's in our community group, as is Sister Genevieve, and this is the year for their 75th anniversary. And we had a feeling that Jeannette wasn't going to make it till her 75th. So last weekend when we met, we wanted to celebrate both of them, but Jeannette got sick and wasn't able to come. So we had made corsages for both of them, and Genevieve wore hers because she was there, and we took Jeannette's up to her afterwards, and we couldn't find any diamonds, so we used glue to make it look like they were shiny for diamonds. And when everybody left and when I turned to leave, I said, it's getting close to checkout time, isn't it? And she said, it is. I said, there's no pressure, you just check out when you want to. And she says, don't you worry. She was a wonderful, wonderful person, and she will be greatly missed by a lot of us who I think she befriended and made feel comfortable. She did that for a lot of folks.
Good evening. My name is Mariela, and I'm originally from Argentina. I'm a co-member, and I love Sister Jeannette. Because English is my second language, I'm going to read it to you. I met Sister Jeannette when she moved from California, and we became so close. I don't know if because, you know, maybe the area in California looked for her some kind of a feeling of South America. Oh, my color of hair, my skin, but we became so close, and she never, ever misunderstood any communication between us, and she used to come very often to our place. She signed up for my last birthday in March and was the only one because the sisters were very busy. She couldn't make it because you didn't have anybody to come over for my reception in our new place, but I told her, don't worry about it, we will cancel. And we will wait till all of you can come over. Don't worry about it. We will have another big party. My family loves her very much, and as I said, we share many moments. She was always happy, smiling, positive, and so friendly with everybody. She never talked anything about anything except natural things, life and the trees, the flowers. I used to come with my husband once or twice a month, Sundays, and she sat with us and we talk about any topic about life around the world. She was so worried about what's going on in the world, and we learned from her. And we walk into her room and we saw this magazine. She has a subscription of magazines of Time, New Yorker. I'm still learning how to read New Yorker. But, you know, she used to take some of these articles and help me to understand. Another great thing about, as I said, is she was always knowledgeable about everything what happened around the world. She lived her life to the fullest, and I will always remember her for this, and I try to live my life the way she lived hers. A couple of days ago, before she couldn't get up from bed, and she called me from the hospital, and she said, you know, I'm in the hospital. And then my husband came back from work, and we drove all the way to the rush hour from Louisville to spend with her. And she was in bed when my husband on one side and I was on the other side, and she grabbed my hands and our hands, and she said, you know, okay, I wouldn't make it this time. And I said, well, we are so happy we are with you, and we are not going to let you be by yourself. We are here. Well, when we came to Louisville again, and when we came to the mother house, a couple of times after, we came, I don't know how many days, I wanted to be very, very close to her for the last days. And last Sunday, she had lunch with us, and supper with us, dinner with us, I'm sorry. And then I took the last pictures, all of us at the table, and she was so talkative and so happy that we were with her. Next day was Sister Alicia's birthday, and I called her and I said, well, do you have any plans for Monday? And she said, no. I said, well, I will be there, and I wanted to invite you to have a dinner with us because it's Alicia's birthday. And she said, yes, I will be there. And then as soon as I came, she was in bed and couldn't get up anymore, but I was at her bedside with Erna too, and with many of you. And I know I'm going to miss her, but all of you are part of my life, and I will be with you every single day. I can come from Louisville and share with you and learn from you. Thank you so much. You are my family. I love you all, and I'm going to miss her a lot. Thank you.
I think that's it for the Mother House. We'll turn it over to you, Rebecca.
Okay. I know we have somebody here in Denver who wishes to speak, a couple of folks here. So what I'm going to say is I'm going to turn the mic. Let's give us just a minute to get set up here, and then I'll turn it over to the folks who want to speak here, okay?
My name is Mary Bruce. I've had the privilege of being educated by the Sisters of Loretto from kindergarten through college. My first grade teacher was Sister Jeannette Marie. She not only taught me how to read, she taught me how to love to read. I was one of the angelic students. Yeah, it was 1946 at St. Philomena's. One day during our morning prayer, Sister asked if we had anybody we wanted to pray for. So I told her Mickey had been run over by a car and we needed to pray for him. Well, she called my mother and she said she was very sorry to hear that her son had been run over by a car. My mother had to explain that Mickey was our dog. So Sister said, that's okay, I'll pray for dogs also. The last time I saw Sister Jeannette Marie was during Sister Rosemary Wilcox's funeral. She and I went shopping for some flowers for her funeral. Well, I don't know what it is, but every time I go to Nerix, I get lost. Well, this time we got really lost for about 4 hours. And we kept driving around. She kept saying, Mary, look at that beautiful scenery. Look at all of those cows. And finally I said, Sister, we have seen those same cows 4 times. But we made it back. And, you know, we had a wonderful afternoon. I would like to thank the people in the infirmary and tell you how much she appreciated everything you had done for her and your caring. So thank you so much. God bless you, sister. It is fitting that, excuse me, it is fitting that we're still teaching vowels and readings right up to the end. I will miss you and our phone calls. Give Sister Rosemary a kiss for me.
I'm Maureen McCormick, and I taught with Jeannette Marie in Houston. And a few days before she died, I wrote her a little note, and among other things, I said to her, you will be a great addition to the kingdom of heaven. And I was thinking when I listened to her biography today that the word alive is the way she is and will continue to be. This morning, I received an email from one of those 6th grade classmates, the class that sent the roses, and he was shared a couple of memories that I would like to share. He said, this is Dub Sullivan, he said, in the school year 1960-61 at St. Michael's Elementary in Houston, Sister Jeannette Marie taught our class, whom she referred to as her Fightin' 39, since there were 39 of us and not a girl among them. Many a fond memory of her, like her being red in the face after trying to show us how to play football, and she with her black habit on. And then there was that Christmas when the song Little Drummer Boy came out. She got hold of a record of it, and she was determined we would learn it. I'll bet we heard it 20 to 30 times. Whenever I hear it now, I think of her, and sadly more so now. This past December, Frank Skibba, Tom Stommel, and I had the great pleasure of visiting her in Kentucky and brought her a few Christmas presents, including homemade preserves and honey, a Fightin' 39 coffee mug, and a sweatshirt with the Little Drummer Boy logo on it. At about 6:30 in the morning, we had to leave. The morning that we had to leave, we made an attempt to sing it to her as the elevator doors opened and out she rolled in her wheelchair. I'm not sure when we sounded worse then or when she was trying to teach us. She is dear to many and was amazingly up to date on all current events when I last talked with her about a month ago. Bon voyage, dear sweet Sister Jeannette Marie, faithful and steadfast servant of God. And when Dub Sullivan, on the day that Jeannette Marie died, I had an email from him saying that later that day he was going to go and light a candle for her and say the rosary for her. So she was dearly loved by this class especially. Thank you.
I'm Vicki Schwartz, and when I was at Loretto about a month ago, Kay Lane and Kathleen Ty and Jeannette Marie and I had a lively game of Liverpool Rummy, which was our practice in California, and we had a delightful afternoon. And toward the end of the afternoon, Jeannette said, my liver's been talking to me. And that was her way of letting us know that her condition was worsening. Jeannette had to leave early because she was going to go tutor that angelic boy. And on my way over from we were in the infirmary and went way over to the novitiate, I cut through the sisters' dining room, and there I saw Jeannette in the annex there tutoring. That's my last picture of Jeannette, and I hold it in my heart.
I didn't get on the official list, but I do want to share a memory. Jeannette and I had a bond because I had the privilege of teaching or having under my administration several of the children of the men and women who were in that famous class of 39. And so I just wanted to say that she was very proud of her Houston heritage, and as I am. But I also wanted to tell her that whenever those men came by, they reminded me that they wanted as powerful an education for their little ones as they had received from you. So that was a wonderful connection. And I also want to say to Jeannette and to all of you, when I was there for the Jubilee year in 2012, she rolled up next to me in the dining room, and she sat there because we were engaged in all this conversation, and she waited because she had received from those same gentlemen a card congratulating the Sisters of Loretto, and especially their favorite, Sister Jeannette Marie, on reaching 200 years. And she was very proud of the fact that they had taken up a collection and had included a very generous check for the retirement fund for the Sisters of Loretto. So what a lasting impression you made, Jeannette Marie, and your legacy lives on in those people in Houston.
Anybody else? No rush. I think that's everybody for here in Denver. If there's anybody else out there joining us via the internet on Zoom, you can unmute yourself and share a story.
This is Kathy Muller. I'm also in Denver, but not at the same site. And I really got to know Jeannette within the last about 8 years. And I'm aware of meeting her and spending time with her at Kay Lane and Kathleen Ties, who were so gracious. I can't say too much about them. And their graciousness in welcoming Jeannette when she had a physical challenges, and they invited her into their home and helped her move through some of those difficulties. I remember Jeannette with this incredible glint in her eye and this little smile on her face. She had humor that would kind of ooze out of her. She was very quick to connect with people. I think that's true. I mean, I've only known her in the last 8 years to really spend time with her. And I think of people who have known her for a very long time, as well as those who've known her for less time than I've known her. And we all know the strength of that connection. And so I just want to say that I think Jeannette was an incredible model of what we hope for in Loretto. We want people who are interested in other people, who love them, who are very quick to connect with them, who live their life to the fullest, and it's obvious to everybody around them. And I think Jeannette was an incredible model of that, and I hold her and her legacy deep in my heart as we move on into a future where we need to rely on that kind of connection and lifetime learning and the importance of every single person, and a little angelic person that you're, angelic or not, Betty, I understand the difference, but whether you're working with a small child or you're connecting with some of us who are much older, it was the same connection. Jeannette loved us, and we knew that. And that, to me, is an incredible legacy that comes from Jeannette and hopefully will be the legacy of Loretto. So thank you.
Anybody else care to share anything? I know we do have Dub Sullivan on, but he does not have a mic, so he's here in spirit with us all. All right, I think, Mother House, I will turn it back over to you.
Oh, give thanks to the Lord, and all my being, bless God's name. My soul gives thanks to the Lord, and never forget. Thank you, all of you.